Hello, welcome to another episode of Talking About Rock. I'm Rob Edwards. We bring you rock interviews from around the globe every weekend on our podcast, and our shows are always available on all the streaming services. Our live shows will be broadcast every week worldwide from School of Rock. Today we'll be speaking with guitarist and songwriter Michael Thompson. He grew up in Port Washington, New York, and attended Berklee College of Music for 2 years, studying with Pat Metheny, before leaving the tour and recorded with a local R&B funk group called the Ellis Hall Group. After 4 years with the group, Thompson moved to Los Angeles in hopes of starting a career as a studio musician, almost immediately getting a touring gig with Joe Cocker and a year-long world tour with Cher. Following the tour, Thompson played guitar for the TV series Fame, a gig he would hold for 4 years, and started his own band, Slang. In '83, he was invited by Andy Fraser, formerly of Free, to be the guitarist on his album, Fine Fine Line. In '88, Thompson landed a record deal for an album of his own with Geffen Records, the Michael Thompson Band, featuring lead vocals by Moon Calhoun. They released the album How Long in '89 and posted a Billboard chart hit that year with the single Can't Miss. The single also hit number 33 on the hot mainstream rock charts. Other musicians on the album include Toto singer Bobby Kimball, ex-Kansas singer John Delfonte on background vocals, John Keane, Terry Bozzio, and Pat Torpey from Mr. Big on drums. Thompson also played on the debut album by the commercial fusion act Animal Logic, the brainchild of Police drummer Stuart Copeland and bassist Stanley Clarke. Thompson shared guitar duties with Peter Hancock and Steve Howe from Yes in Asia. Clarke and Copeland both went on to successful careers composing film scores, for which they continue to tap Thompson for guitar work, and he's also worked on film scores by Hans Zimmer, James Newton Howard, and Randy Eldrum. Amongst musician circles, Thompson is considered one of the leading guitar players in the world. He has been awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award from his alma mater, Berklee College of Music, to commemorate his contributions to the music industry. His amazing list of credits includes such prominent names as Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, NSYNC, Toni Braxton, Phil Collins, Rod Stewart, The Scorpions, Vince Neil, Christina Aguilera, Michael Bolton, Mariah Carey, Bette Midler, Madonna, Babyface, In Vogue, Gloria Estefan, Stanley Clarke, and Ricky Martin. Now the Michael Thompson Band is back with a brand new album, The Love Goes On, with Moon Calhoun on vocals and bassist Tom Crouicer and drummer Annis Ellis. They round out the lineup. We will chat about that and more next on Talking About Rock. Okay, let's welcome from the Michael Thompson Band. We have Michael Thompson, Moon Calhoun, and Tom Crouicer. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Excellent.
Hey.
Right.
It's Tom Crouicer.
Crouicer.
Get that right. A hockey player.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
gotcha. So how are you guys doing on this Memorial Day weekend? Anything going on?
Party.
It seems like it's just another day around here.
Yeah.
I did my bike ride.
Oh,
Right,
good.
the guys were telling me you
went to the
have
gym.
a thing you do that all the time, yeah.
Yeah, man, I've
Um,
been doing it for 20 years. I can't believe it. It's just it's funny. It's like 20 years ago I got up one morning and thought I'm going to ride to the beach today.
Yeah.
Right.
We're like 5 miles away from the beach. So that day I rode to the beach and back, and then so the first year I rode just that I think it's 11 miles to the beach. And
Wow.
back.
Yeah, that first day had to be really hard
Yep.
though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's this
Right.
there's this great bike path that's about a half a mile from here that I pick up. Yeah, if it wasn't for that, my bike riding career might not have happened. But it's really great, and it's mostly flat. There's some hills that go under some main roads and up under and up, but mostly it's flat, which I love. Some of
Yeah.
these guys love the hills and the
No, I'm not liking that.
no,
Yeah, right.
I'm not digging hills, but
Not digging the hills.
it became a thing. And then after like a year of going 11 miles a day, I added it to 21 miles.
Oh,
then,
good.
I thought, let me add another couple. So it's been 23 for a few years, but
That means your
takes-
heart is ticking hard and strong there, Mike.
yeah, I
Exactly,
mean,
yeah.
it takes me a little less than 2 hours. And there's all these not pro bike guys, but those guys that wear the uniform.
Yeah, you
Oh,
wear the
yeah.
hat and the stuff.
Yeah,
the
they
helmet, I should
pass-
say. Yeah.
They pass me going roughly twice as fast as me, but I'm
Right.
out there, I'm sweating and riding pretty fast for me, and it's great. It's great for your head. I do my listening.
There you go.
Yeah, I mix
And
up.
I will chime in that I took my last bike ride 29 years ago.
Oh, you
Oh,
stopped. You
Mike.
stopped riding.
Okay, well, no, because I'm in a wheelchair, dude. I got injured.
Oh
Spinal
my gosh.
injury.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that about me. I'm in a wheelchair for 29 this year.
No, I'm
September.
sorry. I didn't realize that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I took a bike ride 2 blocks from home one bright Sunday morning to go to the store to get juice. And I hit a crack, flipped over, and I bruised my spinal cord. So
Oh my
luck
gosh.
of the draw there. Just a freak thing. But anyway, just chime in there.
Wow.
I'm
Tom, are
still
you a bike
rocking.
rider too? We might as well get your take on this as well.
Tom?
no, I actually, I've been back at the gym recently, and I just got back today. I did that aerial, the Stairmaster thing.
Oh,
and
that's tough.
It is.
I
Wow,
was
that's
sweating.
tough. I wouldn't do that. That's pretty tough. Yeah.
The Stairmaster, for some reason, when I was going to a gym, would just
Yeah.
always kick my ass.
Right. Right. Exactly.
I remember asking my doctor at the time, like, man, this thing, I feel like I'm dying when I'm on it. And is there something wrong with me and stuff?
Right.
And he said, well, it's all what your body's used to and stuff. And when you just get on a Stairmaster for 10 minutes or something, it's like, you know what? I've always hated like stairs, and I've never been good on, I have to catch my breath on stairs. It's weird. It's like I can ride 23 miles, no problem, but like going upstairs and stuff. I mean, I'm not like totally dying or anything, but it's never been-
Stairmaster is killer. Yeah. Tom, are you
Yeah.
doing that all the time? The Stairmaster thing?
No, I just started going back. I just wanted to do some cardio today. I'm trying to strengthen my core because I have a back problem. So trying to strengthen my core. I do ride the bike, but it's when my wife and I go to the beach, and it's mostly an electric bike though.
And I see them so much. In the last few years since COVID, I would say it's 50% of the bikes I see are what
Electric.
they call pedal assisted, but
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah. I see a lot of those. Yeah.
yeah,
But I pedal. We pedal.
pedal. Yeah, so you're getting exercise.
Yeah.
It's not the same, not quite the same as old.
Right.
No, it's not.
I got to fight for every little hill and stuff that I go up. But
Exactly.
sometimes I wish I had one of those electric motors on there.
Right, right. Well, it's
Dead
great
giveaway
you
when
guys
you-
are doing all this, man, to try to keep
Right.
in shape. That's excellent, because I was gonna say, Michael, your guitar style and playing so versatile, man. I was going through some of your history, before the show with our audience and stuff. You started touring with gigs with Joe Cocker and Cher. That's,
Yeah.
out of the gate, that's pretty impressive.
The big thing about the Joe Cocker gig to me was that I saw him at Woodstock. I went to Woodstock. I was 15 and I was young and impressionable, and he just tore the roof off the sucker. It was great. I mean, closing with help from my friends and stuff. And so fast forward 10 years later, I moved to LA from the East Coast, from Boston, actually. I grew up in New York, but I had gone to Berkeley Music School in Boston. And then I was playing with a band for 4 years, a group called the Ellis Hall Group. And anyway, I came out here in 79, and a friend of mine had just gotten the gig with Joe. And I'm like, get me an audition, and I found myself playing Help from My Friends for 10,000 people at these outdoor concerts, like a summer tour with Joe. And anyway, that was a big thrill.
Yeah, that'd be a little surreal at the time, seeing that for sure.
Yeah. And Moon, little
Yes.
known fact, but he was in he was the drummer in the Gap band, the original drummer in the Gap band, they were out of Tulsa, right, Moon?
Yep. Tulsa.
And my band that I was in Boston, years before the Gap band broke big, one of our favorite albums was their first album. So we were driving around on our way to the gigs, listening to Moon on drums with this band, you know. But I forgot why I started that story, but
where we came from.
Yeah.
Where you came from? Yeah, you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, you're talking about Joe and
Joe, yeah, the Joe Cocker gig and stuff. But yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was a thrill, and it was a good way to start my journey in
Yeah.
LA. But the fact of it was, I got here, I flukily got that gig. I didn't know anyone. We came back. Usually Joe, through his career, toured a lot. And that year didn't happen to be one of the years he toured a lot. And I promptly spent every cent I had just made, and had to get a gig driving a cab. And so my first year in LA after the Joe Cocker gig was spent driving a cab, like saying, "Hey, can I get your bag, sir?" And it was for this really funky cab company that, like, half the cabs weren't even registered. You're getting pulled over by the cops all the time. I think I got 5 moving violations in 6 months. I know they were going to take my license away if I got one more, you know. And that was like for speeding. That was just, you were a sitting duck in this company's cabs. This company was called City Cab, and you know, they knew the cabs weren't registered and stuff, so they pull you over and they hit you with no. Why am I talking about the cab? Anyway,
well, that led you up to getting the tour with Cher after that,
yeah,
right?
it did, and I literally got the gig out of the cab. Like you know, one week I was in the cab, and then I auditioned for Cher. I had to beat out 75 guitar players, and I got the gig with Cher. And like 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in Monte Carlo at this ritzy casino with Cher and her entourage. And like 2 weeks before that, I was like, "Can I get your bag, sir?"
Right, you're driving the cab, right?
That's funny.
Wow, just a whirlwind of stuff. And then I was reading, you know, more stuff for you for 2001, and you were awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award from your alma mater, Berkeley College, to you know, commemorate all the contribution you've made to the music industry. So it's all the different folks you've worked with. That had to be amazing too.
That was cool. I mean, and getting to be on the cover of this publication that they send to literally everyone that ever went to Berkeley. So, you know, everyone from Quincy Jones on down got that magazine, or got that, you know, publication. And so my mug was in a lot of houses, you know.
Right. A lot of press. Yeah, a lot of press. I know I was reading through the list of folks you've worked with, and I guess the only question is, who are you waiting to work with? Because you've worked with so many folks.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? And I've thought about that too. And there really isn't anyone, because there's a couple of people that you would rather, not that you get disenchanted when you actually work with the actual artist, but you know what? We're all just musicians. We're all just people. And I've been in the studio so many times with this big artist, you know, working on their record. Right. And, you know, you got ideas, you're trying to make their record better. And there's nothing magical, but like, I'm not sitting there going, wow, they're such a big star and stuff like that. Because in the studio environment, once you start working, you're all just, you know, on a kind of,
you're all just musicians. Yeah,
like a level playing field thing. And so I've thought about, wow, I really got to work with a lot of people. And then I got to, you know, I always wanted to work with Sting. It'd be great in a recording situation, but back, it was about 8 years ago or something, I got to do, he did this McDonald's corporate gig. And I play with David Foster with this sort of all-star band that he has for these charity events and corporate things that we've done. I mean, it's really high. It's like, you know, Nathan Easton bass and Greg Fillinganes and John Robinson. And, you know, it's kind of the cream of the crop, and so Sting was the headliner on this McDonald's event, right? And I got to play all my favorite. I mean, he did like a 7-song set, and he did like Every Breath and Message in a Bottle and you know, Fields of Gold, like all my favorite stuff. And it's like I had one of those moments, like I'm standing there playing Every Breath You Take, and I'm seeing the back of Sting's head.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was reading an article about him, was it a couple of weeks ago, when they're talking about the sample that they used. I think it was from Every Breath You Take, and they never
Yeah.
originally licensed it. And then when they finally got the deal organized right, he's getting like $3,000 a day or something like that
Yeah.
for the sample, something
For
like
the
that.
puffy
Yeah.
thing. I'll be missing you. Yeah, I mean, you know, the early days of sampling, people just went ahead and used it, and then they
Right.
figured it out later, kind of thing. Like I always remember the story of Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. There was that rap tune, Rapper's Delight, that used Good Times. Jank, 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 jank. They recut the track, but they used that tune, and it's,
Right.
you know, and like the Rapper's Delight thing was on Sugar Hill Records, and the president of Sugar Hill called Nile and Bernard to his office, and he had a briefcase with $1 million in cash.
Whoa.
And he said, like, "Are we good?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're
Yeah,
good."
we're good after that.
And that was like late 80s, so that $1 million was worth
Yeah.
more now.
That's
But
worth 2 or 2.5 now or something. like
yeah,
that.
and
Right.
then there was the story of like Eddie Van Halen driving down Sunset Boulevard, and he hears "Boom-a-doom-doom-doom-doom, bow, bow, bwah, bwah." It was a wild thing, you know. It's like the Wild Thing by Tone Loc. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
they didn't even check with Van Halen.
Oh, right.
So I don't know
Yeah.
what they settled that for, but then it became like, yeah, you got to clear these tunes, you know.
Exactly, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what you guys have going on now. So you got a brand new album out called The Life Goes On. And maybe, Tom, you can maybe tell us a little bit about what was it like working on the new album with Michael and doing some writing on that?
The love goes on.
Love
It's-
Goes
yeah.
On, yes.
The
Yeah.
love goes. Yeah, it was great playing, writing songs initially. I'll tell you a little bit. Initially, Mike sent me his tracks and started working on melodies and lyrics, and it just he sent me like a bunch of tracks, like 6 or 7 tracks, and started working on those, and I would get them kind of in, you know, with ideas, and then I would go over to Moon's house, and we would finish one after another, and the flow just kept flowing on, and it was all really, really magical for us. It
Very
was
organic sounding, right?
organic, and it was such an easy groove. We fell right into a writing mode, and we never let go, and we just wrote 11 songs in less than a year, and all those songs were all new, and I enjoyed working with these guys tremendously. I was given the opportunity, and here I am.
Excellent, excellent. And Moon, have you always gone by Moon?
Yeah, pretty much.
So-
Richard's my real first name. Rick
Okay.
Moon, since I was about 18.
And I think we heard a little bit from Michael about kind of how you guys met, but how did you start this collaboration with all these guys here?
Well, I came out here, like Mike said, with the Gap Band in 76, and then Mike and I kind of met around the early 80s, I guess. And I wanted to sing, so after I made a record, and I made my first singing record with a band called The Strand on Island Records, and Jeff Porcaro, the drummer from Toto, produced that. That was my first foray into lead singing. And then I kind of I kind of went back in drumming, and I did a tour with Ray Parker Jr. in the early 80s. I did a movie with Cheech and Chong, and then I played with Andy Gibb, the young Bee Gee, up to when he died. And then right around then, I think Mike and I we were starting to do the first record. Right, Mike? We were doing
Yeah.
things down at Wynn's.
Yeah, well, we gigged we started doing gigs around town,
Right, first.
But I remember because the Billy Trudell was the singer that I had been working with before that, and he had gotten a gig with this group called The City that was it was being produced by that guy that produced Men at Work. Something or other. He had like 1 year where he was sort of like the flavor of the year or something, and so this put together group that Billy was in. Anyway, the singer I had been using had that gig. We got disenchanted because we did some showcases, and it was such a frustrating thing. I mean, Tom and Moon went through it too with their different bands. It's like in the 80s, trying to get a record deal was very frustrating because all they were doing was signing the flavor of the month, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's the knack. We need 20 knacks. It was
Right. Or Motley Crue. We want to that sounds like Motley Crue or something.
Totally.
Yeah. The Sunset, the
Oh,
Sunset Strip band thing was like ridiculous. Yeah. And the better ones, or the ones with the bigger followings, got signed, and then there was a whole bunch of other ones that didn't, and we were sort of middle, that we weren't heavy metal, and we were into rock, but it was more our own brand and stuff, and we came close a couple of times, because it was really hard also because we weren't doing like professional showcases. You're playing at a club and you're sandwiched in between two bands, and you're hauling your equipment on. Now they have like house drums and house, amps and stuff. It's a little easier to move from one band to another, but it was like a drag because,
the setup
called Madame Wong's that we played a bunch. And 1 minute you're a roadie, like moving the amp on stage and getting the drums together and quickly doing that. You have 15 minutes to do that. And then you're a rock star for 45 minutes. And then you're a roadie again, spitting and hauling your stuff off the stage. And that was no way to like showcase your band, and they had given you like a 10-minute sound check, if anything. So anyway, all that to say, it was very frustrating trying to get a record deal. And then Moon and I sort of got lucky in one sense that this manager guy, a guy named Alan Niven, liked our music, liked our demos that we had been recording, and he went from being like kind of just a manager around town. He had a band called Great White who ended up becoming big, but his wife, Alan's wife, was Tom Zutat's secretary, and Tom Zutat was an A&R guy at Geffen who signed Guns N' Roses.
Right.
So when he signed Guns N' Roses, they had like a woman who was booking them or something, some Sunset Boulevard booking chick or something like that, who was acting as their manager. Well, she was the first one to go. I mean, they got rid of her right away.
Yeah.
And so Tom Zutat was like, okay, you guys need a manager. I'm going to make Alan Niven your manager. So this guy that we knew who liked our music all of a sudden became this really powerful guy. He was Guns N' Roses manager, So anyway, that's what led to us having that first deal on Geffen.
Excellent.
That was the good news. The bad news, and God bless him, but Alan also wanted to produce the record, which, he kind of treated us, it was like an iron fisted, like we're doing it this way. And, and he wasn't any Mutt Lange or anything. He was just a guy with like normal, ideas and stuff like that, but everything was done in that way of like a threat, like, we're going to do it this way or the whole deal's going to go away, kind of thing. And so it became a sort of a yin yang thing. We loved that we had a record on a major label,
right?
And that was when Geffen was really the hip label. They had Peter Gabriel and but the bad news was, everything went through this guy, and like Moon and I went to Geffen Records a total of one time.
Right.
That was when our first tune, Can't Miss, which actually wasn't our single that we had done a video for and stuff. It was a record. It was an album cut, but it was released first. It was like #1 for I'll never forget. It was a real thrill. There was a magazine, a music magazine called R&R.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks in a row, Can't Miss was #1 on that thing. I remember driving to this newsstand and getting the copy every week. And it was a thrill because around the country, it was being played.
Right.
So Moon and I were like loving life. Hey, we're happening and stuff. And we didn't realize that, you know, the people at the record company weren't behind it, not because anything to do with us, but they didn't like Alan Niven. They didn't like him. And he was very, you know, bull in a china shop, just went in there ordering people around and stuff. And people don't take time to that.
No, not at all.
But during that period when it was in that R&R magazine, when it was #1, Alan brought us by Geffen. Like, this is MTV, Moon and I, right?
Yeah.
And we're meeting the people and they're patting us on the back and stuff. And that was it. He kept us being at the label. So we didn't have like a personal relationship with anyone. Because that record, I think, could have gone a lot further in this country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to do very well for sure. Excellent stuff. So I wanted to take a quick break and I wanted to check out the title track for The Love Goes On. What can you tell us, Michael, a little bit about this track before we listen to it?
I wrote it when Tom and Moon had written, I think it was 8 tracks that I gave them that were just, they were pretty complete musical, filled in tracks with all my guitars and everything. They wrote to, and what they were writing, I was so inspired that I wrote another 4 tunes, and one of them was The Love Goes On. And I had the title first, which usually I don't think in terms like that, but for some reason working on this album, I got a couple of titles and you know, let's call it The Love Goes On. And the last album was called Love and Beyond, you know? And so it was sort of like a recurring theme.
Right, continuation, yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. But I sat down with a very clear idea of like, wow, I want this to be like first song, first side, even though there's not sides anymore. Although there's supposed to be a vinyl version of this album eventually, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take a quick break here and we'll check out the track for The Love Goes On, and we'll be right back here on Talking About Rock.
Looking at this life we're in, we're getting stronger by the hour. Everything that seemed real to me now emerges as a new power. I've been living with blinders on, not really knowing where this road would lead. But as I waken from a somber sleep, my confusion disappears with the dawn. Lingering traces, lights on worn faces. The love goes on. Don't let it get away from you. Our hearts grow strong. You know we're in it together. The love goes on. On a one-way avenue. It's inside and outside of you. When you're standing near the edge, feeling like you want it all to end, try and just remember that the love goes on. Watching the rising tide, I let the water ease my fears again. This time I'll find a better way, a helping hand to guide me through the night. Maybe tomorrow I'll break through my defenses. The love goes on. Many mountains you will climb.
All right, we're back here on Talking About Rock with the guys from the Michael Thompson Band. Great track, guys. Excellent. Michael, I just had to ask you, do you have any advice for guitarists and songwriters out there?
Oh man, the advice that you hear so much is kind of like, there's a reason people say believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing. You're not going to sell anyone else on it unless you are living it, and you got to want it so much, but you also have to be realistic, and I think that's because you can always, if music is your love, you can always play music, whether it's being a weekend warrior guy playing top 40 or just writing tunes in your own little studio or something. But to pursue like a career playing guitar, man, I mean, there was way more of a scene to break into when I was doing it. Now, because of the record biz, because of it going so far down, but people are still doing it, and the way people can promote their own stuff these days, that's a big plus. Like I said, in the 80s, we were trying for that elusive record deal, and you needed that for your stuff to be heard. But these days, you just go ahead and put it out. So
yeah, not nowadays. You don't need that anymore. You can put your own stuff out, but it's just harder to distribute.
Right, and that's one of the good things about now. It doesn't involve making any real money off it unless you get huge doing it. But
yeah,
people have found ingenious ways to get their stuff out there and stuff. But I think it is great that people can get their music out there, because if we didn't have a deal on Frontiers, I mean, we'd be just putting out the music on, YouTube or whatever.
Right. And there's a big resurgence in vinyl. I know you talked a little bit about that. This may be coming out on vinyl. That's getting to be really big again. And I'm sure we're going to see the other formats eventually circle back in some way. I know some people are putting out cassettes. I've seen that, here and there. So you never know what else could happen, right?
That's true.
Yeah, and they do have a sound that's just you forget, because everything's been digital for so long. But the fatness and the warmth and stuff, you forget what that's like.
Definitely. So if folks want to check you out, is there a website they should visit, or stuff they can look you up on social media? Or
well,
we have a video.
We do. There's a video that I just want to hip people to. Frontiers put out a lyric video, but we made our own video, our own homegrown video, that if you put in Michael Thompson Band, The Love Goes On, both will come up. But the one that shows our pictures on it, check that video out, because that's the one we made. Frontiers, for some reason, wants to keep this standard of everything has to be in 4G or something like that. I don't know. Like the videos they're putting up it didn't used to be like that. There's someone in charge of the video department now who's like got this thing about that, and so she's the one that made the lyric video and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people come out with those first. I know they come out with a visualizer or a lyric video, and then they decide if they want to do something more like a live type of feel or live action.
Yeah. We're talking about going in a studio. I mean, it'll still be to the tracks and stuff, but doing like 3 tunes, sort of us live in the studio kind of thing, just to give some, people something to look at and to promote the record,
Yeah, definitely. Well, I really like the tracks, and you folks out there definitely want to check out The Love Goes On, the Michael Thompson Band. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys, have a
Thank you
good day.
very much.